An organization's crisis action plan, an overview. Hi, this is Mike from Barton Dunant, and I'm going to walk you through an overview of your organization's crisis action plan.
So what exactly are the crises we're talking about? It's when something goes wrong that could impact your personal life safety. These are the crises which affect our organization, our people, and those around us, and most likely the places where we work. We may not be able to avoid the crisis, but we will always want to be able to get through it safely. The Crisis Action Plan is just that, a plan for you to prepare for, respond to, and recover from any type of disaster with personal life safety as the top priority.
There are three types of threats which can generate crisis, emergencies, or disasters. And when we say crisis, disasters, and emergencies, they're all synonyms for adverse or bad things that can happen. There are natural human-made threats, product process threats, and fictitious threats, those which are false stories or rumors, but can quickly turn into real ones.
And there are three types of actions you need to do: shelter in place, evacuate, or lockdown. We're going to go through all of these in a moment.
Let's start with discussing the threat types, and we'll do this in reverse order, since the last two have less actions, and the natural or human-made threat types are the ones where life safety actions are always required by you to perform for your own life safety. Fictitious threats start out as rumors or false stories, but can quickly impact us financially and also tarnish our reputation. Our communicators will most likely manage any responses to fictitious threats, but you should be aware of them, and there's always ways you can help us get through them. Product or process threats are when something goes wrong in the way we do things or what we produce. It could also be a problem somewhere along our supply chain. For example, if something we need to do our work is suddenly recalled and there's no substitute, that could be part of a product or process threat. Or you may have to work from an alternative location in a different way. So follow instructions from your supervisor or our management team during a product or process threat. So as I mentioned before, natural or human-made threats are the broadest category, one where there are always actions for you to take, actions that you can help protect your own life safety. This grouping covers what we call notice events, where you get warnings in advance that something bad is coming, like a storm warning. It also covers no notice events where something's happening, where we were not expecting, like an earthquake or a cyber attack. And again, this is a reminder that the Crisis Action Plan is not a business continuity plan. It's about the things you need to do to keep yourself safer wherever you are.
One of those actions is to leave, to evacuate the site. You should always know two ways out of every place you are, even if one might be out a window. Know where to go when evacuating and what to do when you get there. And while you may have a plan for the route you would evacuate or where you would go, have a backup plan for alternatives just in case. When told to evacuate, that's the only thing you need to do, and now. Our Crisis Action Plan has a lot more detail. Please check it out. The flip side of evacuation is staying put, or sheltering in place. Like evacuations, you should always have at least two places where you can go to shelter in place. One might be your normal work location, but another may be a safer room at our site. Sometimes the order to shelter in place is related to an external threat, like bad weather, which is not going to damage our site, and it would be safer for you to stay rather than to be on the road. There are lots of other examples for sheltering in place in our Crisis Action Plan document. One very specific type of sheltering in place I want to point out now is called a lockout. This is very different from a lockdown, which I'll describe in a moment. A lockout is where the threat may reach our site and cause damage, and we want everyone that we know inside, and we basically lock the doors to prevent anyone else from coming in. This type of crisis usually has some notice, but not a lot, and you may need to locate to safer areas of the site, but not leave the site. Our staff on the road may be directed not to come into the site. Think about a civil unrest situation outside as one example of a lockout. The last type of crisis action is called a lockdown. This is only ordered when there is an active assailant attack at our site. This is the only highly unlikely threat that gets a code word, since it's a no-notice crisis and one where very little communication is available. It means you decide where to run, hide, or even fight for your own life safety. Lockdowns are covered in great detail in our Crisis Action Plan, something we all need to plan for wherever we are.
This is just an overview of the Crisis Action Plan. All of these threat types have actions you can take before, during, and after any type of crisis, and are covered in the Crisis Action Plan itself. Please review it at least once or twice a year.
And if you have any questions or concerns about your own personal life safety here, please have a conversation with your supervisor. Knowledge is power, and the actions you can take to stay safe will avoid panic and reduce the risk of other threats. Thank you for viewing this overview. Now it's time to review your crisis action plan.